All right, I'm gonna do a video. There's some questions that came up on one of the internet chat forums about stabilizers and how having just a single back bar can induce torque. Before we get into that, there was also a comment about the bubble level on the scope. And won't the bubble level indicate torque on an uphill and downhill shot? So I think before discussing the stabilizer, we have to talk about second and third axis. When you set the third axis on your scope, you have to set your third axis at full draw. The reason is when you load tension up into your limbs, your cable guard on the right-hand side of the bow for a right-handed shooter is going to pull this bow this way, to your right, a little bit, which when you aim downhill, that's going to cause your bubble to move to the right, or if you're a left-hand shooter, cause it to move to the left. So that has to be set at full draw. If you set it at rest and you aim downhill, at rest, that bubble is going to be perfect. But when you draw back and that torque is induced into the bow, that bubble level is going to move up. So third axis has to be set at full draw. Now, the question came up about stabilizers, and does shooting a single back bar have any negative effects as opposed to shooting double back bars? Shooting two back bars is going to allow you to take a good chunk of this weight that's over here and distribute it over on this side of the bow. You're always going to want, for a right-handed shooter, a little bit more weight on the left-hand side of the bow to make up for your sight window being cut out of the riser on the right-hand side, all your accessories being mounted on the right-hand side. It's going to cause it to be right heavy. So when you take and you put all your weight, because some of this weight is counterbalancing the front weight you have on your front stabilizer, when you put all this weight on the left-hand side of the bow to compensate left and right and to compensate front and back, you're actually setting yourself up for a situation that can induce torque. When you shoot level, this bow, as you can see, will sit here and hang level in my hand. Sitting there perfectly level. It's balanced. It's what it should be doing. However, what happens is when you shoot downhill, and I'm going to exaggerate this to be almost straight down, you'll see that this bow will turn to the left. Because now gravity is acting on this back bar and using it as a lever. Since all this weight is to the left side of the pivot point, it's going to pull that bow to the left-hand side. It's gravity. It's what it does. If you shoot two back bars and you have one over here, you're only going to have a couple ounces more on this side than you have on this side. The effect is still going to be there, but it's going to be less exaggerated. This bow is always going to tip to the left-hand side a little bit. And shooters often have a problem shooting uphill and downhill shots, and they're having issues with their arrows going left or right, depending on what hand they shoot, and they don't understand why. Well, a lot of it is shooting a single back bar. There's ways you can compensate for this other than shooting dual bars. There's a few pros out there that have gotten very good at this. Danny McCarthy is one of them. Tim Gillingham understands what goes on here, so you have to have reference points on your bow so that you know that you're not shooting with torque in your system. I guess that's basically the point I was trying to get across, and there was several people commenting that, you know, your stabilizers introducing torque into the system on uphill and downhill shots is a myth. It's not a myth. You can see I can lay this bow even slightly to the right and it'll still pull to the left. My hand is perfectly flat. In fact, there's a flat spot on the front of this grip, so that bow should hang there, but it doesn't. Even if I bring it this direction, it's always going to pull to the left-hand side. I guess that's what I needed to get across to answer the question. If anybody has any other questions, go ahead and post them up, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.